So if a mother's moon sign is Virgo, then her child, if she has one child, her child's sun can be reflective of her moon, or the father's moon. The child is either going to have the mother's moon as their sun sign, or is going to have the father's moon as the sun sign. And what that means is one of the parents is going to be, one of the parents' moon sign is going to be reflected or expressed by the child's son, or a child's son if they have more than one. So for instance, what I mean is, if a mother's moon is in Virgo and one of the children or her child, a child, is born with the sun in Virgo, then that means that the child is going to express the mother's moon. So that means the mother's intuition, or the way the mother intuitively connects with the child, will be, that expression will be shown from the child's sun sign. So the child's sun sign would be in Virgo in this situation, because the mother's moon is in Virgo. So that child's ego is going to be like the emotional expression of the mother, because that is the influence. That was the influence that the mother had on the child. And it could also be that the child's moon reflects the father's sun as well, where intuitively, or the emotional connection that the child has or understands, came from the father's expression, or the father's ego, or what the father was able to harvest within the child. This is the connection from the child's moon to the father's sun, where the child was impacted emotionally by the father's expression, by the father's ego. So when this child, as this child gets older, they're going to have an emotional connection to someone who expresses themselves or conducts themselves in the same manner as their father's sun sign. But I can go into further detail about that if you are someone who's looking to understand the relationship between yourself and your parent. if there's a disconnect there, or you don't understand something about it, I could help you put those pieces together as to what, when, why, how, that sort of thing. But yeah, so I just thought I'd throw that piece in there. There's a connection between the sun's expression and the moon's reflection in terms of the children and the parents. And it's important that that is understood, because then you will understand the connection between you and those that you have relationships with. Okay, so I've discovered a way to find out the relationship between the mother and the children. It's something I'm still working on, but so far what I understand is that whatever element is at the ascendant will tell you the element of the other signs. So knowing the ascendant is important, because just by me knowing your ascendant, I know what the other elements in your chart look like. So all I need is the ascendant. Now, with the ascendant, your ascendant does not have to be in the first house. It doesn't have to be in the first house. Sometimes the ascendant can be in the 12th house. And then what happens is there's an intersect of elements in the first house. So there will be an intersect of all the other elements in your chart. So you can, that's the reason why you can have one house. You can have one house, but that one house incorporates the expression of two different signs. That's because in the beginning degrees of a particular element, the expression is going to come out, more than likely the expression is going to come out in the beginning versus the end of one of the signs. So say for instance, in the 5th house, you have Capricorn and Aquarius. What that means is the expression of Capricorn is going to start but end in this house. And Aquarius is going to begin in this house but end in the next house. So that's another reason why you could come off in your younger years in this particular house a certain way, or in this particular element a certain way or a certain time, and then the rest of that time you come off as this sign. The expression is going to be more of the other sign, and that's more so towards as you grow, like as you get older, you'll see the expression change. If you do a whole sign chart instead of using the Placidus birthday chart, the only thing that happens is that one element now encompasses the entire 30-degree angle of the chart. So for that house, you're going to see nothing, you're only going to see the one element in that house. And the only element that you're going to see is the element that starts in that house. So the element that starts, so if you have Sagittarius and Scorpio both in the 9th house in Placidus, when you change that chart to a Placidus chart, the 9th house is going to be in Scorpio, because you have Sagittarius and you have Scorpio in the 9th house. So it's got the 9th house has to if you do a whole sign, the ninth house is going to be all encompassing of only one of the elements. And it's going to be the element that begins in that house. So if you have Sagittarius and Scorpio, both in the ninth house in the Placidus chart, when you change the Placidus chart to a whole sign chart, because Scorpio comes before Sagittarius, you have to take Sagittarius out. So now in the whole sign, you only have one element. And that one element has to be the sign that starts that house off. So that would be Scorpio in the whole sign. So that is the difference when it comes to reading the charts. Why some people prefer to work with the whole sign versus the Placidus. Because some people prefer to see each sign in its own 30-degree angle. It helps them understand or read it better. Some people prefer the Placidus because they want to see exactly where the sign ends and where the other one begins, or they're trying to interpret exactly where the planet and sign is located in the chart. Because if you do a whole sign and you have Pluto in Scorpio in the second house in the whole sign chart, but then when you do the Placidus chart, it's going to show whether Pluto, because in the Placidus chart, it's not a whole 30-degree angle you're looking at. You're looking at the portion of that house where that element is in that particular planet. That planet is in that particular element. So if that particular element in a Placidus chart is in the second and in the third house, so Scorpio is in the second and the third house in a Placidus chart, Pluto is not going to be in the second and the third house. It's going to be at a certain degree in one of the houses. So when you do a Placidus chart, I feel like that is more degree specific. It is more detailed in the expression of that planet and element, because you know exactly what house it's in and you know exactly what degree it's at within that sign or within that element. So there are differences with the Placidus and the whole sign chart. I can read both, but I can get what you need done with just the whole sign, where I could see the 30-degree angle in each one. If you want to be more detailed, where you understand why it seems like you're more affected in this area than another area, the Placidus chart would be the best type of chart to use for you. But in determining where your ascendant is, like I said, I will know where all the other elements are in your chart. Okay, those elements have a connection. Okay, the connection you may also understand the connections of the elements by the aspects. And that's what I'm talking about. The aspects would be the square, the sextile, the trine, the opposition. It's a whole lot of them, but those are the main four. Those are the main four. The opposition, you have the opposition, you have the trine, you have the square, and the sextile. So by me knowing where your ascendant or what element your ascendant is, I will be able to figure out where all the other elements are and how they aspect from the ascendant. And that matters because let's go with the trine aspect. The trine, which is the triangle, which is one of the best placements you can have. But depending on how it's afflicted by the planets or what signs are there will determine how they play out in your house, because the way that the signs aspect each other generally will be the same, because the trines themselves, they don't change. So whichever elements are in a trine with each other, it will always be in a trine in everybody's chart. So everybody will have that trine. Everybody will have that square. Everybody will have that sextile. Everybody will have, because the reason why is because the signs in the birth chart, everybody has those signs. So we all have all 12 signs in the birth chart. But if one person has a Libra ascendant and then another person has an Aquarius ascendant, the only thing that does is it switches up the aspect's expression. Okay? Because a Libra ascendant, I forget what the other sign I used. I think it was Aquarius. A Libra ascendant is going to have a different personality expression than an Aquarius ascendant. That personality expression is going to be different. So your chart on an individual basis is not going to be exactly like somebody else's chart. That is what makes you unique. Your chart is not exactly like anybody else's chart. Even your siblings. I don't care if you're twins. The degrees will not be the same in every single aspect of the chart. No, it's not going to be the same. That's if one twin came out at 12:30 and the other twin came out at 12:31, the chart is different. It is not the same. So until I have a chart where I can see that a set of twins or triplets or whatever, they all came out at the exact same time and they all have the exact same time of birth, I'm going to stick with the fact that from what I've seen with reading charts, nobody's chart is exactly the same. And that includes twins or identicals or whatever. Those born on the same days. Something's different. So when you get your reading, that is one of the first things that I look at, is where your ascendant is. Now, as far as the mothers to the children, the mothers to the children, if I know the mother's ascendant, then I can calculate all the aspects. I can see which planets are where and how they're talking to each other or affecting each other. And then from there, I'll look at the child's chart. Now, just from the mother's chart or just from the child's chart, I can tell you the expression of the parents. I don't need both. So if you want to get a reading, or if you have a question about why your relationship with your mother is this way, or why your relationship with your father is that way, or why you have a relationship with people and this is what happens, or you always attract this type, or whatever, I can tell you. I'm going to start off by telling you or trying to explain to you the expression from the mother to you and the father to you, and vice versa. And then go into further detail about maybe what's happening with the other relationships. But I can do that just off of your chart. I don't need your mother's chart. I don't need your father's chart. I just need your chart. And then I go from there with your ascendant. there is a connection between the trines, the squares, the sextiles, and the opposition. They're connected. So, if you would like a reading, please let me know. You can email me. My email is in the description. I handle all my readings through my email. So from there, I will contact you and we will schedule a session. The session will either be through FaceTime or Meet or Zoom if you would like an in-person session where we're able to talk to each other. Or you can send me your information and then I will calculate your birth chart and I can send you a video. So it's however you want to do it. But just let me know and I'll be back with more later.